As NFL free agency approaches in just a couple of weeks, the news and rumors is rapidly ramping up. And the most talked about one currently is the Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford and his future on the team or somewhere else. The last couple of off seasons, Stafford has been pretty adamant that he gets his contract adjusted to kind of match some of the other top quarterbacks in the league. I remember last offseason vividly that the Rams organization and Stafford had another kind of contract dispute, but they found some common ground for this past year. Stafford got a raise, he got more guaranteed money, and things were okay. But Stafford is coming off of another double-digit win season, another playoff win as well, and honestly a couple of plays away from taking down the Super Bowl champions Philadelphia Eagles in the snow in Philadelphia. So he's back to the negotiating table, wanting his contract adjusted again, and the Rams are kind of up in arms about it. I think they're a little bit tired having to deal with his contract year in and year out, but they're also being a little bit stingy with their money as well. But I don't think that's out of the ordinary. Most well-run NFL teams are very conscientious with their spending, who they're investing a ton of money into, etc. But this is really the first time that we've actually seen real concrete rumors about Matthew Stafford potentially being traded, and I think the main reason for this is just how many quarterback needy teams there are and just how many teams are willing to invest a lot of money and also capital into getting Matthew Stafford from the Rams. Now, the first rumor we really heard about this situation was like a week ago regarding the New York Giants and their opening at the quarterback spot. Right now, their week one starter would be Tommy DeVito. I don't believe they signed Drew Lock past this past year. So the Giants have a huge void at the quarterback position, but they do also have the number 3 overall pick in the draft. That's why they've been tied a lot to Shedeur Sanders of Colorado. But that first rumor was basically saying if they were going to actually acquire Stafford, they would have to give up that 3rd overall pick. And then quickly, probably somebody from the Giants brass basically said, no, we're not going to be parting ways with this top 3 selection for a very old quarterback who is actually very expensive as well. So then things kind of died down a little bit regarding Stafford going to the Giants, but now there appears to be another mystery team kind of lurking in the shadows a little bit, and it's the Las Vegas Raiders and new minority owner Tom Brady kind of sniffing around. The day I'm recording this, Ian Rappaport put out one of the more unintentionally funny tweets in a while, basically saying that Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford ran into each other at a random ski resort in Montana. He said the meeting unplanned was not extensive or in-depth and did not include Brady hosting or recruiting Stafford, despite reports saying otherwise. But I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to really realize what was going on here. I mean, seriously, what would the odds be that Brady and Stafford, the end of February during the Combine week, happened to be in Montana out of all places to ski, and then take it a step further, we're in this same resort and just randomly came across each other? That has to be like nearly impossible. So I do think Brady was there to kind of gauge the interest of Stafford, see how much money he wants, see what his interest is in playing for the Raiders and kind of just the future there. And if I had to make a prediction right now, I do think the Rams are going to make kind of a blockbuster move and trade away Stafford. Usually when you have all these contract talks going on and just so many other teams are involved, the trade rumors are just rampant. I feel like more times than not, the player is sent somewhere else and they do not return to their original team. It honestly just feels like the Rams have kind of reached a breaking point and they don't want to invest like a 2 to 3 year deal as he gets into his late 30s. And we've already seen just this past year, a couple of older quarterbacks not performed super well, like Kirk Cousins. Aaron Rodgers was not great as well. So I can understand the thought process of Les Snead and Sean McVay not wanting to invest $40 to $50 million the next 2 to 3 years on a player that you do have durability questions for moving forward, and his play if it will fall off, because Stafford is a very weathered player. I mean, dating back to his days in Detroit, I mean, he took a lot of hits. He's not like a young 37, 38-year-old. With that said, though, I still don't think it makes a whole lot of sense for the Rams to trade him away. We saw how close they were to making a Super Bowl run again this past year, because I have a good feeling that if they did take down the Eagles in that divisional game, that they also would have defeated the Washington Commanders with a rookie quarterback at home and faced off against the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. So I do not think they're super far away. They have some offensive weaponry with Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. The offensive line continues to kind of get bolstered up year after year. The defense improved drastically with so many of the young players continuing to blossom in their first or second seasons last year. And the Rams again this year have more cap space, more draft capital to further invest more young talent into the team. If they hit on a couple more picks, I do think the Rams could be in that category where they are competing to come out of the NFC. But if Stafford is not on the team, you can kind of throw all that out of the window, because I don't think you're going to get somebody as good as him currently for the next at least couple of seasons. Some of the names that have been thrown out that if the Rams do trade Stafford, watch out for Aaron Rodgers. He has his eyes set on the Rams. He's from the California area. I think that's where he stays during the offseason. He's a big fan of Sean McVay, and there's also just not a ton of other openings for Rodgers to step into and maybe have some sort of success. I've seen some other people mention Sam Darnold, who spent the last couple of years hanging out with some of the other former friends of Sean McVay, like Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers and Kevin O'Connell this past year. And then even if the Giants do kind of give in and give up that top 3 pick, maybe the Rams would select Shedeur Sanders to be their quarterback moving forward. Those are just some of the ideas that are being spitballed currently regarding the Rams quarterback position if Stafford is indeed traded. But again, I think for the immediate success of the Rams, they have to keep Matthew Stafford, just kind of bite the bullet, invest in him the next 2 to 3 years, and try to go all in on this quote-unquote Super Bowl window while they do have him playing pretty high-level football. Now, on the flip side, for the Raiders and the Giants, I don't really like this move for them as well. They're both rebuilding franchises whose talent is mainly young players. I don't think it's smart to speed up that process, trade away assets, and then pay a 38-year-old quarterback $40+ million a season. I think for the Raiders, getting somebody like Sam Darnold makes a whole lot of sense if they can't acquire somebody in the draft. Darnold is a lot younger. I think he's going to be cheaper, and he could end up being around the same caliber of player of Stafford in the coming years as Stafford gets older and Darnold continues to improve. And for the Giants, it's relatively the same thing. Why not go out there and get Shedeur Sanders, or why not try and even bring in Sam Darnold if you like him more? Both of those quarterbacks just fit the timeline of these quarterback-needy teams a lot more than Stafford. I know Brian Daboll and Joe Shane are trying to save their jobs because they are on the hot seat, but even if they got Stafford, are we sure they're not going to still finish 3rd or 4th in the division next year? Eagles team is still loaded. The Commanders in year 2 with Jaden Daniels and another year to invest talent into the team, and the Cowboys still have some star players as well, so they're not going to be a pushover. So I just don't think it's like a set in stone world where if the Giants just get Stafford, they're going to save their jobs, go on a playoff run, win a playoff game, and have a successful season that does set them up for years to come. Now, Sean McVay did go on a podcast recently and said that there's no discrepancy on us wanting him to continue to lead the way and be our quarterback. The interesting and the challenging dilemma and dynamics within this are, hey, how do you continuously as a head coach look at the short term and the long term and be able to figure out what does that really look like? There is no dispute, and let's not get it twisted regarding anybody wanting him to be our quarterback. Now there's layers to it. Hey, do we continuously build? How do we support him? How do we make sure that he's getting what is his worth relative to those things? So he pretty much just reiterated everything that I just said. The Rams want to keep Stafford, but they don't want to pay him a ton of money long term, and they don't want to mess up the future of their team moving forward. If they can find some common ground like they did last offseason, Stafford will be back on a reworked deal. But if not, and the Raiders or Giants offer maybe their 1st round pick this year, Stafford will likely be playing on a new team in 2025. And I don't see this stance of the Rams organization really changing. I mean, they're a pretty upfront and ruthless organization. I mean, even Cooper Kupp, they already said they're going to be trading him away or even cutting him this offseason. And he's one of the best players in franchise history. Jonah Jackson, who they just signed this past free agency, they're even shopping him now this offseason. They said they'll be taking some calls regarding him. So Snead and McVay are not messing around. And if they do not see the value of keeping you on the team on your cap number, they're not going to hesitate one iota to move you. And that is why I think there's a real possibility that Stafford is in a new uniform in just a couple of weeks. But I want to know what you think about the Matthew Stafford situation and where you think he'll be playing next year. Will the Raiders make a blockbuster trade for him with Tom Brady leading the way? Will the Giants swoop in last minute and finally offer their top 3 pick? Or do you think the Rams will give in and give him the contract that he's looking for? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.